Hey everybody, it's Max from 4th and 20 here. Super excited. Spring is in the air, which means baseball is finally back, baby. Love baseball. Been a big part of my life ever since I was 8 years old. I can't wait to see what goes on this season. A lot of young players finally making the move to superstar. I think we're going to see a little bit of changing up in the power rankings over here, but for now, I'm going to start you off with my predictions for division winners this year. In the AL East, unfortunately, it breaks my heart, but I'm going to have to say I believe the Red Sox are going to win the AL East. The Yankees with their youth movement, the baby Bombers, it looks good. They look like they have a shot at really becoming a great team this year, but the rotation, the questions in that really make me skeptical. I'm going to say that the Yankees are going to come in second in this division. Baltimore, I love the power. I love what they bring to the table, but the fact is they just aren't really there as a full unit. Buck Showalter's teams are very good, but I just don't see it. I see Toronto's wheels falling off the bus, and for that, I'm going to say that you're going to see Baltimore, Toronto, and, of course, Tampa Bay in the cellar. Then in the NL East, I don't see anyone competing with the Nats this year. I do like the Mets pitching staff. I do think that they have it. I don't think the offense is going to win enough games, and I do think that their defense is going to lose them some games. I do have the Mets coming in second. The Marlins are still going to be in a hangover after the tragedy of losing Jose Fernandez, but look out for Giancarlo Stanton, one of the best players this league has ever seen. If he can stay healthy, who knows if he can really rally the troops around him. And obviously the basement dwellers are the Braves and the Phils. Who really knows what's going to come out of them? They're still very much so rebuilding, but their farm systems are making the up and up. Hopefully to see a comeback from them and make that division finally competitive maybe next year. In the AL Central, one of the most interesting divisions always to watch. You have teams like Cleveland, Detroit, the Royals. White Sox and Twins aren't that fun to watch yet, still very much so, but they've got some great young players to look forward to. I have Cleveland winning that division. I don't think that Kansas City has gained any momentum. I think they continue to stay low. I think Justin Verlander is going to come out with another great season in the renaissance of his career. I do think that if you're going to sleep on Miguel Cabrera, then you're doing things wrong. Then you got the NL Central, and if there was any debate, there shouldn't be. The Cubs are young, talented, and ready to win again. They are definitely a lot of people's World Series favorites this year, already going into the season. But you can't sleep on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals are very good. They're always really well coached. And, as a big fan of catchers, Yadier Molina just re-signed for another 3-year contract extension. He is the heartbeat of that team. He makes that pitching staff what it is, in my opinion, by the way he calls games and the way he can stop runners from advancing just by being behind the plate. Then you got the Pirates. That's an interesting team. I think that they're going to have to trade Andrew McCutchen, and that's going to be one of the biggest moves that you're going to see this year. Look out for Andrew McCutchen, maybe going to the Nats to help them push and get some offense in there, because everyone needs extra runs, and McCutchen's a dual threat kind of speed power player. Then you have the Brewers and the Reds. More teams that are interesting, but they're more than just a few pieces away from competing. Then you got the AL West. Now this one, a lot of people really love the Rangers. I'm not a big fan of them. Yu Darvish, yes, very talented. Not a very consistent, healthy pick at pitcher. Me personally, I have Houston coming out of that division as the winner. Houston looks really strong with Carlos Correa and Altuve, and then they got the great pitching rotation. They're still very young. They still have a lot to prove, and I think if their bullpen can find a way to step up, or if they can trade for a pitcher like David Robertson off of the White Sox in the middle of the season, that could be the push that team needs to make a good playoff run. Then on the NL West, this always seems to be a battle between the Giants and the Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers have proven to really come on strong. They have a great youth movement right now. I'd like to see what their plans are with Yasiel Puig, but you got Clayton Kershaw, one of the best pitchers I've ever seen in my lifetime, and probably one of the best pitchers ever to play the game. So I'm going to take the Los Angeles Dodgers just by a hair over the Giants. It's going to come down to the last weekend in September to really decide who's going to win that division. But that's going to be just a battle of heavyweights. Then you have the Rockies, who are going to look good, but they're still a pitching staff away from really making a big difference. Arizona, they seem to really not understand the concept of getting players on base and scoring runs to win games. They do have a decent rotation, and they definitely have enough of a bullpen to keep them in them. But if you're giving up 3 runs and you can only score 1, well, you don't win that game. Now, that being said, I think with those guys winning those divisions, the wild card for the AL side, I'm going to have to go with the Yankees. I think that they're going to surprise a lot of folks this year. I think their pitching can really step up. I think Masahiro Tanaka is a really great pitcher. I think that Aroldis Chapman and Dellin Betances locking down the last 2 innings really gives them a lot to work with, especially when their rotation isn't known to get past 6 innings. So if they can even get 6 innings out of Sabathia, Tanaka, Pineda, they're looking really strong with players like Betances and Aroldis Chapman rounding out their bullpen. I see them probably in the second wild card spot competing, and that's where they're going to end up meeting the Detroit Tigers. Detroit Tigers really do have the experience and the lasting ability to get through an entire 162-game season. If they stay healthy, look out for them to be a nice competition. I will have the Tigers beating the Yankees in the 1-game playoff of the wild card. Then on the national side, I think if you're going to sleep on the Cardinals or the Giants going to the wild card game, well, then you're missing out on 2 of the best teams that can always make an upset run as the wild card team. I'm going to say that Bumgarner's going to beat out whoever they're going to throw at him, whether it's Wainwright, Carpenter, whoever they think is going to be the guy. I just don't see how Bumgarner doesn't win, and I have the Giants winning that wild card spot. When it comes down to it, though, I think that the championship series is probably going to be the Cubs versus the Giants, and then I have on the national side and on the American side, I think you're going to see Houston versus Cleveland. Now, when it comes to the World Series, this is where my big upset comes in. I'm having the Houston Astros winning the World Series over the Chicago Cubs this year. It's super hard to repeat in any league a championship series, but especially to win a championship 2 years in a row after 108 years of never seeing one in your city, and then to go ahead and come up against such a young, talented team just like them and the Astros. I think the Astros are hungry, and I think the Astros are going to take it. Now, with that prediction done, my MVP predictions. I have Mike Trout winning, just squeaking it out over Manny Machado and Carlos Correa of the Astros. The fact is, Mike Trout is just too amazing. He can run, he can field, he can hit, and he can hit for power. Those are just things that aren't seen a lot today. Those kind of tools are just so valuable, and even though the Angels aren't going to be that good this year, you still got to like what Mike Trout brings to the table, and he's going to prove how valuable he is to that team. Then in the National League, I have Bryce Harper winning over 2 Cubs in Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo. Dark horse there is Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, if he can really stay healthy and win games for them, I really think that you're going to see Giancarlo be proven in his value, and his value is really going to make his push for the MVP. It's going to eliminate players like Andrew McCutchen, who's going to probably be traded. You're going to probably see some people get traded that's going to lower their values. So really, though, I think Bryce Harper's going to squeak it out over Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo just because they're 2 players on the same team, and it's going to make it hard to choose which one was more valuable on that team. For the Cy Young in the American League, this time I'm going to be going with Corey Kluber of the Cleveland Indians. I think that guy, although a former Cy Young winner, I think he's really going to be the reason that the Indians remain dominant. They definitely added some pieces to help them offensively, but I know that the pitching is going to be huge. Kluber, and then you have Miller out there as their closer. I really think that you are going to be really impressed by what Corey Kluber does, and that's why I have him as my Cy Young Award winner for the American League. In the National League, it's really a one-man race. I don't see how Clayton Kershaw doesn't win it. He didn't win it last year, but man, does he have something to prove. I'm really impressed every year by what he can do. He's practically in a I believe he's a sub 2.0 ERA whenever he's on, and he knows how to go a full game. Not only that, he can hit the ball, which is crazy. But if I had to pick a dark horse to come up and beat him, it'd probably be Noah Syndergaard of the New York Mets. Very good pitcher, very good, knows what he's doing on the mound, love his height, really think he's got all the tools to really help the Mets push it against the Nats. But then again, I still say Clayton Kershaw all the way. That's been my baseball preview. Keep it posted. We're going to be talking more to you about the finals for college basketball on March Madness finally coming to an end. The Masters, is Tiger going to play? That's coming up next week. We have the draft for the NFL, something that we just can't get enough of coming up. And we can't wait to talk more to you guys. And like winter is, so is our podcast. Our podcast is coming. Please stay tuned. We appreciate all your love. This has been Max. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great night.